Here we got a game I played against Josh, PipeGrump. This was what I thought was a very good game played by both of us, save for one mistake Josh made, and that's usually all it takes, right? I was white, started out with D4. Goes into a queen's pawn game. I think it's the Chigorin variation. Pretty standard moves up through about move, I don't know, 6 or 8, something like that. Challenge his pawn in the center. He protects it. Add a little attack to it. Decides to take. That gives me a big space advantage and more control of the center than he has, for sure. I'm also a little bit better developed, ready to castle when I need to. He decides to protect that knight from my bishop. And that was a questionable move. It thought A3 was better. You can see the line that it's got there. A3 followed up with a couple of moves from each of us. Didn't turn out to be much of a problem, I don't think. I was trying to protect against his B pawn from advancing to attack my bishop. Break that pin. I'm going after my bishop there. Back him up. Now I'm attacking king side, or setting up to attack king side. That I thought was a blunder, and you see why. Free knight for me, and that was really the turning point of the game. From this point out, as you can see by these moves over here, we played it pretty much the way the computer would have played it. Which is unusual that we played that big of a portion of a game with no real mistakes. I was up a knight at this point, and he just never could recover. He comes down to protect the bishop from my queen. Go ahead and put my king in safe position. He's still 3 moves away from developing. I'm fully developed. A little more room in the center, controlling that 5th rank with my pawns. Also my knights doing some business up in there. Preventing me from putting his queen in a pin with that D2 bishop out to G5. I just went ahead and attacked it with my pawn. Now it looks like he's got a little bit of a space advantage at this point, but down the material, he's not able to convert that into anything, at least on the queen side. I went ahead and traded material. At this point, I've got, I think, what is a significant advantage, because queens are off the board. He has no knights. We both still have the bishop pair. Center's nice and tidy, locked up. I force his king out, so he can't castle at this point. Keep trading material. He's got doubled pawns on the B file. Trying to reposition my knight to get him in the game somehow. Went ahead and took that, offered the rook trade. Throw a check in there. Since he wasn't willing, I went ahead and did it. Even though that gave him control over the A file, I didn't feel like that was a big deal. trying to get my king out into the game a little bit. Nice tidy spot for my rook. My rook's protected twice here, so I've got a little leeway in what I can do. Oops, back that up so you can see he advanced, tried to advance, took him on passant. More material off the board, the better, I felt. He's definitely got a better structure in the center of the board, but I didn't feel like that was going to be a problem at this point in the game. Bring my king further up into the action. Attack his rook. He's in a dangerous spot back there with that knight. There's, you know, possible forks all over the place at this point. I did want to make that move to prevent his pawn from advancing any further than it already was. That was the only thing that I felt like was a real danger. Protect that pawn. That caused me a little concern at first, but I just moved over. I found that move and thought, yeah, that's a decent way to stop everything and kind of lock everything down there. He decides to push, and that's really his only option at this point. His rook's just dead back there. Of course, my rook's not doing a whole lot either, but prevent him from coming down and attacking my king and pushing me away, allowing that other pawn to advance possibly. Now I'm looking at that hole in E5 for my knight. I felt like that was a good spot to try to go after. Went ahead and traded those off. Give a check there. Now my knight's just a beast. There's forking opportunities. As you see there. Now I'm attacking that other pawn. He comes across to defend that. Prevent his rook, his king from making any further advances at that point. Only thing he can do is move towards my knight. Really, all of his pieces are pretty much dead in the water there. Which he did. I took the other pawn, and at that point he resigned because it was just a matter of advancing those pawns, possibly gobbling up a couple of more of his pieces and giving his king way too much to try to look after. But with the exception of that that knight blunder right there, that was a well-played game. He pretty much did everything he could do and did everything right. It's just the fact that I had more material and in the end a better structure. I was controlling everything he had. If you look at the the analysis, you can see right there when it went from me up 0.4. When he lost that rook, I went up 9 points, which is a significant jump for the loss of a knight. It was a game-ending kind of blunder if I played it right, which I managed to do. And you can see there, other than that one mistake, he made none. I made that one inaccuracy with my A pawn. Overall, I was very happy with that game. So there you have it. It's a game me and Josh played last Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed.